present GSP plus situation. Basically there is what we call the MFN, or most favored nation. That is, I don't want to be too technical here, but according to international multilateral trade rules, no country can give a discriminatory tariff to other countries. It is called the most favored nation rule. You cannot favor any other country. But there are, of course, exceptions to it. So what are these exceptions? For free trade agreement, we have Article 24 of the GATT, but for the GSP, we have what we call an enabling clause in one of the earlier ministerial decisions of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. So that is what enables us to get the concession as developing countries from the developed countries. So GSP is given from Sweden, from Australia, from New Zealand, as the US. So EU also is part of this. But each country has its separate scheme and its separate requirements and its separate rules of origin. That is what you have to remember. So GSP Plus is unique. No other country is offering it at the moment. So therefore, we are very much gratified by the fact that the 1971 GSP scheme that came into being with the European Union or Commission at that time has now graduated to one where we can get zero tariffs. So then the next point is, how can Sri Lanka get this tariff? What is the eligibility of Sri Lanka for the GSP facility? And what is the sustainability? Even if we get this concession, for how long can we get this? So here there are three criteria that are defined by the present European Commission regulations according to Article 7, the import share. So the import share, the GSP covered imports should represent less than 2% of the total Sri Lanka imports, right? So less than 2% of the new imports from all GSP beneficiaries. So they are looking at how vulnerable you are. So therefore Sri Lanka is 0.8% at the moment. Then non-diversification ratio. They are looking to help people, in respect of the degree of diversification. So 7 largest GSP covered product sections must cover at least 75% of the total GSP covered exports to the EU. So there are two, we are 93%. So that is okay. But for how long is the question. So I think the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs also raised the question. There have been some initial studies made, and we think around about 25 we should be able to sustain. I'm not very sure, but I think these are in the realm of estimations. But we live in hope. Then the last one is, of course, the Sri Lanka has ratified all 27 conventions listed in Annex 8 of regulation. And we have not made any reservation. Like if you say that in one convention we seek to make a reservation of not complying with such and such article, we have not made. Our record is clean. So all these things have been considered in our application. And I like to tell you this, that this application is not just 1 or 2 pieces of paper or some signatures. It is a long drawn out document, almost, I think you can make an undergraduate thesis, 100 pages, right, of detailed study. There is an introduction. In the introduction, what we have done in the interministerial committee chaired by the Director of Commerce with all experts dealing with these 27 conventions from all the line ministries, right? What they have done is the chapter on human rights, chapter on labor, chapter on governance, and chapter on environment. And in this, according to the European Commission regulations, what we have to do, apart from these eligibility criteria and so on, we have to show comprehensive information to what extent we have complied with these in terms of administrative compliance, implementation, and legislative enactments. So it is a deep study, and the process started, I will tell you, in November 2014, right? And it ended in this year when we sent it in June. We sent it on the 15th of June to the mission in Brussels, right? So it is not that we were, looking at this for about 2 years. There were some other reasons also which made us delay the submission of the application. So, and also I think what you should also know, considering that this is an important concession that you will receive, what does the country have to give up for it? All these concessions, any preference, any free trade agreement, even a unilateral concession given by the European Commission, country has to give something in return. These are not given like freebies across the table, right? So, this is, I will not read the slide because I think your eyesight, except the people at the extreme end of this room, might not be very challenging. But at the end, whatever we might write, everything that we are, looking at in our study that we submitted has to be rooted in the conclusions and recommendations of the relevant monitoring bodies established under those conventions. So there are UN monitoring bodies that have their own independent conclusions of the level of compliance of each country. So that is where we stand judged. However, what is very important that you should note is that the conclusion should not identify a serious failure to effectively implement any of these conventions. So now, what will analyze your mind is how do you quantify a serious failure? What is a serious failure to you may not be a serious failure to others. So how do you do this? Of course, that requires another presentation, which I will not go into. That is different. But we have actually taken the time and energy to look at other applications of other countries who have been successful in getting the GSP plus, like Pakistan, like Guatemala, like Ecuador, all these countries, right? And we find that our level of compliance cannot be, even compared. We are at a very much higher level. So no wonder the Honorable Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs was so confident that we will get this concession, because if we do not, right, I think it will be not something that is very tenable even within the multilateral trade rules. So that is why I think we can forge on ahead with the assurance that we will get this. But what is the timeline? Surely, as practical people, we will want to know how soon we will get this concession. And of course, is that the deadline starts from the time you submit the application. We have submitted the application on the 15th of June to the mission. The mission took the decision that they will discuss the application before formal submission with the European Commission. So that went for a few weeks, and then they submitted it by, I think, the end of June. Then the European Commission has acknowledged the submission of this application on July 12th. So from July 12th, the European Commission will take 6 months to consider it. And we understand that by about the end of the 6 months, they will give us a provisional, provisional knowledge as to whether we have got this or not. And then thereafter, the European Parliament and the Council will look at this for 2 months with the possibility of extending to 4 months. So I think by that timeline, it is next year that this will be considered effectively got. So having said that, I think in earlier times, in 2004, in 2005, when we launched the application which was successful, there was some kind of lobby, political lobby that goes. So we are actually not in that, that's a political process. So then also to answer your question as to why we waited till June, till June 16. We started the writing of the application in November 2014, and we engaged in what is called a gap analysis as to why our early application that we launched for the third time in 2008 did not succeed. So there were certain gaps, there were certain movements that went between the European Commission and the country at that time. I will not go into those details, but we had to conduct a gap analysis. And gap analysis means going into every single convention and seeing the updating it from what it was in 2008 and providing more information, and because sometimes there have been positive developments. So that is the reason. But then we had another challenge, that is the European fishery ban. The fishery ban is a ban that is imposed by the IUU. IUU is the legal, unregulated and unreported. I mean, that is a kind of organization that looks at the performance of countries in how they engage in fisheries activities. So Sri Lanka was given a kind of red card. So once you are given a red card, when we discussed this with the European Commission officials, they said that if you submit the application, because we were ready by January this year to submit it. They said if you submit it, there can be certain problems. Not that you cannot, but there can be certain problems because there is, when it comes to environment and so on, there are certain parallels going into the 27 international conventions also. So that is the reason why we were advised by the European Commission to wait until the fishery ban is removed. So, because I think in the case of Philippines, they had gone ahead with the GSP application, and then there were certain, when it came to the European Parliament, there were certain, strictures made by certain MPs. So they did not want Sri Lanka to get into that same pitfall, right? So this is just a gist of the various actions that were taken. Our trade office in Brussels, and also, of course, the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Industry. So all these actions were taken that you see on this slide, and then it was lifted in June. So therefore, that we were able to go ahead with the application. So when we are looking at any possible benefits from the GSP Plus, obviously we have to look at the major exporting products to the EU region from Sri Lanka. And as you can see, apparel is the major item, and also the frozen fish and rubber products and tea and so on. So as you know, Sri Lanka's export basket is very limited. I mean, I've been 31 years in this trade promotion.